I don't like this typically because the shop, I want to print twice scale if I can. And the reason why I like to print twice scale is a lot of times the shop prints the actual paper drawing at half scale because a full size scale is huge. So they do a half scale for reference. But what I like to do for them is I create the part twice scale. By creating the part twice scale, when they go to print it, it prints it at full scale. So whatever they're working with, they're working scale 1 to 1. So if I wanted to do that, I'm not going to have enough room to jump this to scale 2 to 1. I don't even know if a D-size drawing will cover it. But if I was going to do that, I would go to Properties under Sheet 1, and then I would pick this tab called Sheet, and then below that it says 1 to 1. I would just change that 1 to a 2 and hit Apply. Did that not change? I guess I got to change it here. So I change that to a 2. That's twice scale. Hit Apply and say OK. Whew, what a mess that makes. So the border is too small. So if I want to get a bigger border, I'm just going to delete this one. I don't need it anymore. I can go to annotate, view layout, and pretend like I'm just going to insert a new border the way I've shown you before, except that I'm going to change this to a D size from a C and hit resize and hit apply. It's thinking. It should move everything over. It's kind of slow to do that. The thing I don't like is it didn't know to move the tolerance block in the general notes very well. But in my note, oh, here's another thing too. It switched it back to 1 to 1 scale. That's 1 to 1 scale. So I gotta say okay to that. And then right click on sheet 1 again and redo this to change it to 2 to 1 scale. So I change that to 2:1 and hit apply. And it will say okay. And I'll turn my view frame back on. Move this out. Move this up. Move this ISO view up a little bit. Oh, yeah, move it up quite a bit more. Got to move this over. I moved over too much. Okay. Turn the frames off. And then you can see I got to edit the background. So I got to move all this text around. So I'd have to just kind of manually grab these and shift them around. Okay. Got to grab this tolerance, move it over, move it over, move this block. Oh, you sucker. It might be just as easy to delete that block. Move this over, move this over. Under sketch, just create another rectangle. Okay, ideally I would have lined that up. You get the picture there. So you got, when they do that, you got to move a lot of stuff because it just spreads everything out twice what it was. So I got to shoot all these back down. So I got to go back to the edit sheet, or I can move this back up. So I can move this closer. So it's a lot of moving stuff around here. And you'd have to do that on all the views because all of them are twice whatever they were. So if you had this ½ inch off the part, I'm now 1 inch off the part. So you got to go through and move all those views. But when they go to print it, it's gonna be it's gonna be a lot nicer for them because this is a nice full drawing. All the scale, all the views are easy for them to read. The idea of making the drawing is trying to make a drawing for the shop to make something with, and you want to make it as clean and easy to read for them as you can. The other reason we created a drawing is because it's a legal binding document that holds us accountable and holds the shop accountable. We're accountable for the design, and the shop is accountable for building it per the specs on the drawing. If a part fails, first thing they look at is the drawing. Then they look at the part and they see if the part was built to the specs. If the part was built to specs, engineering is in trouble. If the shop didn't build it to engineering specs, the shop's in trouble. Okay, so that's pretty much all I have to show you about drawings. There's one last thing about doing the checklist.